Tuperos y tuperas, today on DOOP By The River, we had Union players flash their skills for the U.S. men's national team. We're going to talk about the U.S. men's national team facing off against El Salvador. We're also going to touch upon the MLS Cup. We're going to preview that game. Listen, I know we are not in it, guys, but it's a still entertaining game, and this is big for our league as a whole. And don't go anywhere, guys, because you do not want to miss this episode of DOOP By The River. And let's get this started. And done! And that is right. Welcome everyone to DOOP By The River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union, brought to you by Philly Sports Network. And before, ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to show us some loving. We are on PSN Radio now. Definitely check us out there, as well as the other PSN podcasting groups from the Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, and Flyers. We got it all for you over at PSN. And make sure to like and subscribe to El Parcero Philly YouTube channel. We have the video portion of the podcast up on there every episode, so definitely check that out there if you want to check our handsome faces. All right, today's panel of dupers here, ladies and gentlemen, we have first up my man, Mr. Justin Freiburg. Justin, what's going on, my man? How are you feeling today?
Another day in COVID paradise, right?
That is right, man. Luckily, thank God for Zoom and the boost in Zoom that is. We're able to record these podcasts virtually, and it feels like we're together. It feels like we're in a room together, but we're doing it COVID friendly style 2020. Good stuff. And that, of course, I'm joined by my right hand man, my guy, Mr. Tim Lomaguth, who is super duper excited for Star Wars here, ladies and gentlemen. Everything that the Star Wars franchise is putting out with Disney. It's a good day for Star Wars fans nationwide, or worldwide, I should say.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, yeah, I'm definitely a huge Star Wars fan, so there's your little bit of trivia. See my Star Wars shirt here. I was definitely not watching the live stream of them announcing all the new shows and yelling when they announced every single one of them. That wasn't me. No, it was definitely,
no, it can't be you.
I'm happy to talk some soccer here, especially because we've seen our Union players represent the red, white, and blue here yesterday. So yeah, I'm excited about all that.
Hell yeah, man! Hey Tim, listen. One thing I do know about the majority of the Union fan base, we have an appreciation for Star Wars. So you are in the right place, my man. All right, guys. Well, today, to start off the episode, of course, like Tim mentioned, we have to start off with the U.S. men's national team here. And for one night, I was loving the U.S. men's national team heavy. I felt like they were my team. You know why? Because they had two of my players, Brenden Aaronson and Mark Mckenzie, were starting for the U.S. men's national team. Like, now, look. This was a friendly, from my understanding, right, guys? We had a friendly here down in Inter Miami Stadium. But it's always good to see them show their skill off for the U.S. men's national team. They're still both very young, and who knows what the future can hold. Injuries happen. Like we've seen it plenty of times before with the U.S. men's national team. Injuries happen, players dip in form, and for Brenden Aaronson and Mark Mckenzie, they just have to keep focusing on their play on the pitch, and hopefully one day they can actually start for the U.S. men's national team. But they won the game 6-0, absolutely thumping over El Salvador. And I will throw this to you guys because I know you guys are the resident U.S. men's national team fans here. Well, first off, talk about the performance of both Mark and Brenden. Tim, I'll let you start this one off here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, first, it was great to see that they were in the starting 11. We've seen in past, not past Decembers, usually in past January camps is when we see a lot of MLS guys come into the U.S. men's national team, and it's essentially like a tryout run, like, oh, can you make it at this level type of games? And we usually see, like, Union players there, and, they're on the bench, or they don't even make the 18, or however many they get on the bench for friendlies now.
But wasn't Fafa the last one, right? Like,
Fafa was there. Keegan Rosenberry was there at one point. I think Austin Trusty was there as well. And even maybe Brenden Aaronson last year and
Brenden, the last time Mark got in around like 67th minute, I think Brenden got at least like 70 minutes.
Yeah, but it was nice to see them both out there from the start, and they both went 90 minutes, which was really fun to see in this type of setting, in this type of game where they came out firing. The U.S. was in a 4-3-3 essentially, and Brenden was sort of playing that 8 role, a little bit of a more on the wing too. They were kind of overlapping there, and Mark obviously at the center back position, he was pretty locked down, and he should have had a goal. I know that it got called offside there, but I mean, Brendan's performance, he had an assist and a goal. Yeah, I don't know why VAR wasn't used for Mark's game, but Mark's goal, I should say. But Mark had a really good game as well. He kind of set up the first 2 goals. He started the attack. I don't think he got secondary assists for those, but he started both attacks. Both players looked really good, and the team looked good overall. And this is the U.S.'s, B squad, essentially, or more so their North American squad because of COVID. So, they had those friendlies like a month ago, and it was mostly the European players, except for maybe 1 or 2 guys that went over. So this was the chance to see the guys that are North American based, either in MLS or I think Soto plays down in Mexico. So that was good to see those guys get the call up as well, and to see the type of depth that the U.S. is going to need coming into 2021. There are so many competitions that they're going to be in. They're going to be in Gold Cup. They're going to be in Olympic qualifying. World Cup qualifying for them starts in September, so a long ways away from now. But they have to be thinking about that too. So there's going to be a lot of soccer here played for the U.S. men's national team, and it's really good to see these guys get a look. And obviously, from a Union perspective, to see 2 of their starters and best 11 players from MLS this year play 90 minutes for the national team in a 6-0 win looks really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Justin, what were your thoughts, man? I know you were loving this last night.
Yeah, I when I saw the lineup, I looked and I was like I figured at least one of the 2 would get in. I did say with the people that were available, especially with center backs, I was like, it's going to be Aaron Long, and then realistically, it was going to be Mark because him and Walker Zimmerman are too close to identical, and you really don't know much about Mauricio Pineda, so you're like, you can't really. That was kind of like just to get him in there, kind of a call up, and then looked at the midfield, and I was like, okay, Jackson Yule, I'm like, I think he's going to be kind of competing for the backup, quote unquote, the Michael Bradley role.
Yeah.
And then, having Legit made sense because he's, that's kind of the role he's been playing mostly for the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a pretty good idea. Brenden, even in a 4-3-3, they just told him, like, just stick your head up, make those passes, press, make those make those runs. And I was like, yeah. And then looking at the forward, you're like, Daryl DK was hurt the day prior, so it made sense that Akinola was in there. Chris Mueller on one wing made a lot of sense. I was surprised to see Paul Arriola. I know he had literally, like, his first game back was the last game of the season for DC, so like he didn't exactly have a ton of stuff under his belt for this season coming back from the ACL. But from the get-go, I would say Mark looked good. He didn't have a lot to do because he didn't really have to play a ton of defense. So it was tough to say, like, he looked good, and it was like, it wasn't much to say because, again, like I said, they didn't really have much to defend. So it was like, you didn't have to be put into situations where he had to make certain plays. But Brenden, from the start, like, he came up to Jackson Yule, like, he'd come up, he'd get the ball, he'd look up, and he'd spring. I mean, they were spraying passes left and right. The wings were running rampant. Akinola was making those incisive runs, exactly what the U.S. has been looking for in a striker, someone who can push those lines, someone who can get behind almost like a Timo Werner kind of a striker that can play behind the defense and help stretch it. Chris Mueller, that was easily one of the best performances I think I've seen. And I always thought he was a good player, and he was on the fringes of getting a call up. and he absolutely took that chance. I think Brenden definitely got robbed of a second goal.
Yeah.
When Akinola came sliding in. Mark, unfortunately, because it was a friendly, there's no VAR. Mark got absolutely robbed. He was 100% onside, and that was, would have been a perfect little way to cap a great season. Brendan's goal, I mean, my man loves deflections. I can tell you, he scores a lot of deflected goals. But
a low shot too, man.
It like the first half, I mean, they were out cruising, and I was talking with a buddy of mine, and he had put like at point where it was 5-0, and it was like 20 minutes left in the half, and there was I forget the odds, it was like plus 115 to for them to score score 5.5 goals in the first half.
Yep.
And it was like 5 to, I think it was 5 to win like 11. And, of course they didn't score the 6 to the second half. And he's like, what is this going to be like the Cuba game? I said, no, El Salvador, while they might not be great, they're better than Cuba. Again, that's not a high bar, but they're better. And I think with the guys that you have, because essentially you're going to need like 3 total rosters. You're going to need the U23 guys who are going to be doing Olympic qualifying. You're going to have the mostly MLS guys who are going to be Gold Cup. And then you're going to need a bunch of these guys combined with the European guys that you have to play the qualifying, which starts in September. The only interesting name that was in the lineup was Soto, because he plays in the second division in the Netherlands. That one, I believe, I had heard something that he may have been suspended for a few games, so like they could give him that, the call. He was one of the quick call-ups, because I know Jackson Yule was a replacement for Frankie Amaya. I think the only player that technically couldn't was Efren Alvarez, but that's because he's represented Mexico at the youth level, so he'd have to do a one-time switch. But I mean, honestly, the team looked good. Sam Vines, I think you get, as good as he played in Colorado this year, I think he warrants at least the potential for either the Olympics or maybe the Gold Cup roster for left back, because I mean, your left back spot is pretty thin. Because right now, I mean, your starting U.S. lineup is moving Serginho Dest to the left and Reggie Kennan on the right. Well, if you can keep Dest on the right in his natural position and have someone else on the left, I'd love that. So it was good to see all these young guys, and I think it's good to see that Berhalter is putting a lot of emphasis on getting these young players in, getting them experience, and he I mean, a lot of these guys are a lot of dual nationals. I think there were like at least 8 dual nationals that could represent multiple countries, and it's clear that Berhalter's doing what many U.S. coaches have not done. Jurgen did it to an extent, but no one's really done over the years. Is make these players, make these kids feel like they actually were wanted, like that why they should choose the United States, regardless if they're playing. I mean, Serginho Dest said it best. The U.S. made him feel wanted. Like he made him like he wanted to play for them. Like it was part of something.
Yeah.
So with these kids, you have a good, strong pool of players. So I'm interested to see, especially because you have a lot of games next year. So there's a lot more opportunity for a lot of these kids and a lot of people that might have been snubbed. So that's the whole point. You're gonna get to see over this next year what the U.S. has in terms of the depth at multiple positions.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of mentioned it. There are going to be a lot of games, a lot of competitions. So I pulled it up. So in March, they actually play in the Nations League semifinals because that's still a thing. So the
That's
U.S.
still a thing.
US is playing Honduras, Mexico is playing Costa Rica. So obviously, there's some potential good big games there to start the year off. Obviously, there'll be some friendlies before that, but that's the first like competition. And then it rolls right into June, which is that World Cup qualifying that you're talking about. July is the Gold Cup, and then September is when it all starts for World Cup qualifying. So there's a lot of things to look for this U.S. men's national team moving forward, and we'll get to see if more of the what we've seen from maybe Brenden Aaronson or Mark Mckenzie and some of these other MLS players get a shot in some of these areas here, because there's just going to be so many things. And I think you said it well, Justin. There has to be 2 or 3 rosters moving forward here for this national team. So it's an exciting time moving into 2021, busy year.
I'm absolutely jealous, guys. I'm 100% jealous. You guys are seeing some youth playing well for the U.S. Weston McKennie scoring freaking bicycle kicks against Barcelona. Like it's
freaking golazos.
Yeah.
As I heard it best, Liu Kang Mortal Kombat just scissor kick. It was like, people saying, oh, it wasn't. They didn't talk about it until like yesterday, and it was they mentioned Ronaldo, and then. I'm getting ready for, I'm getting ready. I get stuff away from my desk. I take lunch, and I look, and Weston McKennie's goal is #1 on the midday sport top 10, Sports Center. I'm like, I'm sorry, is Sports Center? Is he's been talking soccer? No way, it can't possibly be. It's not. It's not Tim Tebow running shirtless in the rain. Like, what is this?
That definitely pissed off more than one person watching. So I'm here for it.
Good.
Yes, absolutely.
Feed me the tears.
Yes, absolutely. But guys, I mean, get back to the union aspect of the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah.
So Justin brought up a really good point that I'm really intrigued about, because I mean, now we're moving on to the next era of union soccer. Brenden Aaronson being the first one sold to a European team, and Brenden to Salzburg. Yep. Something I'm really curious about. Now, Justin brought up the fact that they were lined up in a 4-3-3. Now, I know that the Red Bull system, it's all about the high press. I'm not sure about Salzburg, but I do see Leipzig do line up a lot in a 4-3-3. I know Red Bull in New York here, they like to line up in a 4-3 as much as they possibly can. So, it was really interesting to see how Brenden could play in the midfield as a 4-3-3. When you're playing in that 4-4-2 diamond, Jim gave him a lot of freedom to roam around at the top there of the top of the diamond. So I thought he played pretty solid as one of those midfielders there. And I think it's going to be a smooth transition. So kind of curious, guys, here. What do you plan on seeing from Brenden Aaronson as he heads into his first season with Salzburg? European soccer. Should we say European football here?
Yeah. It's definitely going to be an interesting fit. I believe from different rumors and things like that, the replacement, or Brenden Aaronson's might be replacing one of their starters who is kind of in that 8-10 hybrid role that they like to play. They do like to play that way, that you were saying, John. They like to play sort of in like a 4-3-3, just a lot of pressing and attacking, the Red Bull style type of soccer, or football, they should say, over in Salzburg. Yeah, he's going to go. I think he's going to go in, and it's going to take some time to get adjusted to the team. And Jesse Marsch is going to push him just like Jim pushed him here, and they're friends, Jim and Jesse. So they've been talking about that, and to stay on him and to get the best out of him. So I think he'll go in and he'll play some sort of role. Right now, Salzburg, they crashed out of the Champions League, but they'll be in Europa League for them. I believe they're confirmed to be in there. I'd have to double check. But so he'll have that European competition in their league right now. Salzburg is actually a point off of first place. They're usually at the top of the league through 10 games played here. So he has a lot of soccer to play with his new team. And I'm sure once he gets acclimated and he plays his style of game, the way that he can break the lines, the way that he can, just create something out of nothing really quickly. His passing has been really good, and the sneaky finishing, late runs into the box type of thing, deflected shots, whatever it might be. I think he'll play a pretty significant role with this team, I think, into 2021.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so too. I think that you're right about Jesse pushing him I mean, there's high hopes for Brenden here. They think that he could potentially be someone that could play in the Bundesliga part of it. If not, they can sell him. So
Yep.
there are some serious expectations here for Brenden Aaronson. It's crazy to think about. But Justin, your thoughts on Brenden at Salzburg, man?
Um, yeah. So I think Tim was right with the rumors that I've heard, and Marsh has kind of confirmed it himself. Um, I forget the guy's name, but the Hungarian kid who's kind of where Brenden is playing now. Um, they've already said, like Jesse said, he would be amazed if he's not sold in the winter.
Yeah.
Just because he's like, it's not that we want to sell him, it's he's so good, like it's going to happen. And Jesse knows he doesn't hold these players for very long because, like, that's a good thing. If you get a season or two out of these players, maybe if you're lucky, and turn them out, that's the whole point. Now, Salzburg's formation is a little strange. I want to say it's a 4-3-3, but when I started looking up a lot of their formations, it's not most things, most apps and most situations don't exactly call it a 4-3-3. What they call it is a 4-2-1-2-1.
Okay.
So essentially you're playing with two number 10s.
Yep.
Is how their system works. So my understanding is that Brenden they said, I think he even said it best in one of his interviews, that he would be slotting in one of those number 10 roles, 8/10 roles behind the striker. And I think those guys kind of, because of the high press, they kind of interchange.
Yep.
So which for Brenden works perfectly. And yeah, Salzburg, it was a shame. I mean, they had the chance. If they had beaten Atletico, they were into Champions League knockout. But because they finished in third place automatically gets you to the knockout rounds of Europa League. So at the very least, Brendan's getting European competition.
Yeah.
I have been kind of keeping track of Salzburg this season. They've had some tough results. Like I said, they're only Tim said they're 1 point back of first. They've had some tough results. They just lost their last game in the league. It was a bit of a surprise, but I think Brendan's going to be fitting in right away. I mean, the Union play that Red Bulls type system. Jesse knows Brenden from his time at New York Red Bull. Jesse has said that Jim told him everything, like because they said they're still good friends, so he told him everything that in player that he's getting. Jesse's been scouting Brenden for 18 months, so he knows what he's getting. This game against El Salvador showed to me Brendan's ready to take that next level, that step to the next level. And while we only had him for a couple of years, it's clear that his development in those 2 years was well beyond that scrawny little kid playing for the Steel that got knocked over and broke his collarbone. Like, he got thrown around like a rag doll there. And in 2 years' time, he excelled. And I mean, not only was he up for Young Player of the Year, he was a best 11 choice. Like, to show that on your way out and say, oh, I was voted on as one of the top 11 players in the entire league. I'm worth at least $6 million. I was just sold for a record North American, record for a U.S. homegrown transfer. And I just had a damn good game again for my country. And I have the potential in the next year to play more for them. Like, if you're a Union fan and you are, fuck it. If you are not fucking ecstatic for Brenden Aaronson's future, you don't have a pulse, because this kid is going to be something special. And yeah, we might be a little biased because we're a Union pod and we're Union fans. But when you have so many other people who are in the national media in the world, saying, wow, look at how good this kid is.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, at some point you got to go, wow, this kid is really good. Like,
Yeah.
there's no other way to say it. And it makes me happy to see a local kid doing this well and making it on this level. And
in your backyard, man. You're in your neighborhood.
Right in my backyard, right? Pride of Medford, New Jersey. But
hey, baby.
I really do hope, like I said, I'm not gonna buy a Brendan Salzburg jersey, but the next team, if it's not Red Bull related, the
Hopefully a
next team I'll
Bundesliga
buy
team.
his jersey. But I'm excited for it, and I'm excited to see what he can do at Salzburg.
You brought up a really good point there, Justin. Like, there's a good amount of Union fans that don't really have an alliance towards a European club. I've over as time goes on, I've really kind of steered away from European game. I've been all unioned up, right? But there is a good amount of fans that don't really have a union or a European alliance, and now they have something to watch on a weekend. They're gonna go ahead and turn on Brenden Aaronson's game, and hopefully, knock on wood, as my desk is made of wood, um, Mark Mckenzie can be sold soon too. And we have two players to watch on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday over across the pond, as they say. So definitely an exciting time for Union fans, seeing one of our own excel in the top, the land where the best soccer is being played in the world. So definitely good stuff. Well, let's talk about the other guy that was on the pitch that we were mentioning, Mark Mckenzie. Now, the latest I have heard is that Celtic, well, obviously the Union have kind of denied the first deal that Celtic threw at the Union. And Celtic, I believe, went and grabbed a defender by the last name Duffy. I forgot his
Shane
first name.
Duffy on loan from Brighton.
Exactly, from Brighton. So that kind of like nipped the bud of the Mark Mckenzie to Celtic rumors. Maybe. There's still a little rumblings here. But the latest is that we don't know exactly what teams, not like the Kai Wagner rumor. There are Premier League and Bundesliga clubs interested in Mark Mckenzie. Is that just smoke? We don't know. But still, clearly someone is interested in Mark Mckenzie in Europe. Rumors in Europe, they're not just a hoax most time. Someone is definitely interested in Mark Mckenzie. Justin, I'll let you start off here, man. What do you think? What do you see happening here with our boy Mark Mckenzie?
So the funny thing with this is I definitely think there's a good chance he could get sold before the season. I also think there's a chance he could get sold in the summer. The Union, as Ernst said, they have no real rush to sell him.
Yeah.
One, because they know what they can get for him. You got $6 million for Brenden. At this point, the way Mark's played, I don't see any reason why you can't get close to that, if not maybe even more, because center backs are young center backs, mobile center backs that can have line breaking passes are worth their weight. And it's it's interesting to see. And like I said, Celtics kind of come in with some low ball offers. In the summer, it was $1.5 million, and Ernst said, "Yeah, that's not even close." And then they just came back with incentives, a $4 million offer. And Ernst goes, "You're joking, right? Like you can't possibly be." I'm sure Ernst like had every urge not to laugh on the phone for that kind of an offer. And because he said Celtic is not the only club. There's a lot of more high profile clubs. And now, what do you consider high profile in the aspect? We did hear Premier League and Bundesliga were the two leagues that were named. This is really speculation. For the Premier League, I'm kind of hoping, and I think I've said this on multiple occasions, I'm kind of hoping maybe like a Southampton would be interested. They do play predominantly a back three. They can switch to a back four. They do have some center backs. Bednarik and Vestergaard are slightly on the older side. With that team, that you can have line breaking passes. James Ward-Prowse is a very good 8/10. Danny Ings has definitely shown that he is a threat in front of the net. And then in the Bundesliga, I've been saying this for a while. I'd love to see him on a a Mönchengladbach. I don't think that's like when I think of like Champions League teams, maybe an Eintracht Frankfurt. Mönchengladbach to me seems like the best, unless I don't know, unless Dortmund's coming in with an offer. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it's at least a mid to higher table Bundesliga team. Based on the way Ernst was saying it, it sounded like, obviously, like I said, there's not anything super concrete, but if I'm Union fans, I'm looking at it and going, okay, so do we want Mark in England? Do we want him in Germany? Like, what teams are we looking at here? What teams are, because I think it's not only, okay, what league do you prefer him in? It's what are the teams? Because say it's a Chelsea versus a Werder Bremen. Even as a Man U fan, I'm going, well, if Mark's going to get time at Chelsea, like, I want to see him there. But if it's a Borussia Mönchengladbach versus say a West Ham, well, I want him at Gladbach because it's better. It's a better team. I think he would, he work well with the young core they have there. So I think it's tough to say whether he's going to get sold because I don't think the Union are in any rush to sell Mark. It's very clear on that, unless they get blown away with an offer. And because again, Mark has indicated is not forcing a move. He understands, like, listen, you could still do it some time here. It wouldn't hurt his career, but he also knows he's ready for a move. And so we'll see. I wouldn't surprise me if he gets moved in the winter. Wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't get moved till the summer. It will happen next year. I think there's no denying that fact. And I think you could see potentially them waiting because by the summer the market may kind of level out because a lot of teams are quote unquote crying poor because of the pandemic. So your kind of values, again, I always said the values might be a tiny bit lower with it, but also if the team has that money and says, oh, we're going to offer you $6 million for Mark, you go, okay, yeah. I'm listening. Like,
yeah,
so we'll see. But I am excited. The news obviously wasn't super specific, but you kind of with Ernst, you kind of got to try to read between the lines unless there's an article that specifically mentions a team.
Yeah. Honestly, I think for this type of thing for Mark, I honestly see him being on the Union's roster come the season, and I think he gets moved in the summer when it's more so a training camp time for a European team. And for me, I want to see Mark on a Bundesliga side, and I think if he goes to any Bundesliga team and he can compete for not the top ones, because then he sits back like Chris Richards does for Bayern, even though he gets some playing time. But I think if he goes to a Bundesliga team and he's a starter, then we're potentially talking about Mark Mckenzie really getting to that next step and being in consideration for U.S. men's national team World Cup qualifying and vying for a center back spot, because it is one of the spots that has been said to be a little bit weaker. There's some, shaky bits there where, a player can squeak their way in if they play really well. So I think if he goes and plays in the Bundesliga, he has a chance for that, more so than the Premier League, because the Premier League has shown to be killers of American players. I know there's been some great players over there, some loan spells and things like that. But recently, when you get transferred to a Premier League team, there's almost like something there where it's like, oh, you're a good player, you have this talent, you're on our squad, but we're gonna have you kind of sit back a little bit. Christian Pulisic might be the exception, but at the same time, there's been times with him and Lampard where they haven't seen eye to eye. So it's a little bit different. But I think that Mark will be on the Union come the start of this next MLS season. He'll still play out of his mind, best 11 center back. And then he'll get a move for, a good chunk of money, because everything will kind of start to get a little bit more back to normal. The money will start to flow a little bit more. The right move will come in the summer, I think, and then we'll deal with that when it comes. But it's an exciting time for him, and I think he knows that whether or not he moves, he just has to keep playing the way he's playing, and he's going to get sold. He's going to make a lot of money, and he has a chance to become a very good player for not just his club but for his country as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Tim, I agree with you, man.
And it's to that point, Tim. I mean, you mentioned being thin at the center back spot. The only confirmed starter, like pencil in starter for center backs that I could think of, is John Brooks.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's wide open. You have Walker Zimmerman, Aaron Long. You have now Mark McKenzie, Chris Richards. I mean, the list keeps going because you have all these young guys. And if he moves next year and parlays that, he knows, he's like, listen, I got my opportunity. I got to build on this. And I think the door is wide open for him to make that move.
I think Tim nailed it, man. For me personally, I do think that Mark's going to be here, unfortunately. It's not unfortunate, but I want to see the best from Mark. I think Mark deserves that type of move. But I think that it's better for him to go to Bundesliga. In the Premier League, I think the reason why, Tim, to your point, not a lot of them succeed per se is because there is this crazy pressure in the Premier League.
Yeah.
In the Bundesliga, I feel like there's more an emphasis on development, and there is more room for error, where in the Premier League it's like you need to win like now. That's why I was thinking maybe like a championship side, but even the championship, that's like a gauntlet too, and you don't want to put Mark McKenzie through that either. So I think that the Bundesliga is the right spot for him. I would like to see him go maybe even one of those lower level type of clubs, even like a Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim has been great with development over the last 2 decades. So something like that is, for me, is what's best for Mark McKenzie. The Premier League, man, it is tough to go. Not many are like Miguel Almiron coming from the MLS to the Premier League. That is such a tough move there. You're talking going from, a top 15, top 20 league to the best league in the world. That is really hard to do, man. It's really hard there. Guys, so my last question before we move on here, who do you think is the next Union player to get a call up to the U.S. men's national team?
That's a great question.
That's
tough. I don't know. I feel like maybe Fontana, if he keeps, scoring goals, but he's very he doesn't really fit the system.
I want to say like Freeze or Matt Real.
Oh yeah, that's pretty. I think Matt Freeze. That's a good shout.
I mean, Matt Real has been getting a lot of time through the youth ranks.
Yeah,
and Matt Freeze has also kind of started to get some call ups. So
that's a good one.
I definitely see it. Like,
yeah,
I mean, for the goalies, I definitely could see like, JT Marcinkowski, Matt Freeze, and maybe like a David Ochoa or a CJ Dos Santos.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a lot of these. Any of the call ups are going to be probably for like Nations League or Olympics.
Yeah,
maybe Gold Cup. That's one of those, like, Gold Cup can kind of be anything. So we'll see. But if it's gonna be anything, it'll probably be on the defensive side, and I'm probably leaning more for the Olympic qualifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm going to go give a hot take here. Matt Freeze will be the Olympic qualifying goalie, and he will help the U.S. to qualify.
Nice.
That's where I'm going.
I mean, I have high hopes for Matt Freeze. I think that once, Andre Blake's time is done, I think he's really going to be our goalie. I think he's shown me enough in this small amount of starts he's had that he can start in this league. How good can he be? Well, we don't know, but I think he is more than capable of being our next starter, and hopefully that translates into the U.S. men's national team success as well. So good stuff there, guys. It's a great time to be a U.S. men's national team fan, as you guys can clearly tell from Justin and Tim there. And of course, I'll be rooting with you guys, and I don't know if I'll even be in the World Cup to root on my team. So
we don't have to talk about Colombia and then firing their coach. It's fine. Everything's okay.
I didn't want to bring that up. That we're that's how bad.
I mean, after that shellacking to Ecuador, I'm surprised his bags weren't already at the airport.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird because he had to succeed one of the best coaches in our history in Peckerman, and he just I don't know. I feel like he had an idea with Colombia, but it just didn't work. It really didn't work. Changing the tactics.
That was very apparent. It did.
Yeah. Well, we went from a 4-2-3-1 team. You know, you gave James a lot of freedom to like this 4-3-3. I felt like he was trying to turn Colombia into like another European, like another Germany or a club like that.
Yeah.
But that's not what we are, and I don't understand why you're trying to recreate this style for us when we still have the same players.
I'll
But
say
hey,
let James run that
exactly.
offense and just throw the ball up to Muriel and Zapata. Like just
Yeah.
I mean, when James has the freedom to control that that offense, he's at his best, and that was the most apparent back at the 2014 World Cup. Like
Yeah.
when he has the freedom, and it's
Oh
early
yeah.
on in Everton, it's shown when he has that freedom, he is peak James, and you see why he made that move to Real.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and not even starting Wilmar Barrios, who's probably our best like defensive-minded midfielder, and then use those fullbacks. We got so much speed, and he was even putting Guardado out there, and like he wasn't even getting the ball up. But yeah, so we'll see what happens to Colombia. But for right now, I'm rooting for you guys. I am rooting for you guys. Awesome stuff, guys. Well, guys, this weekend we have kind of a big deal going on. It's a big deal in our league. It's the MLS Cup Final.
Oh, I thought it was CCL. We're not previewing the resumption of 2020 CCL, guys.
Well,
Not yet. Not yet. We gotta get
Not
to MLS
yet.
Cup first.
We
not
still
yet.
got another week.
About another week for that. But yes, guys. So I figured first let's talk about the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. See how the two finalists got there. I kind of want to start here with the Eastern Conference Finals. Columbus and New England met on what was that, Monday night or Sunday night?
Monday night.
Monday night.
Was it Monday or Sunday?
It was Sunday.
Sunday
I
night.
was like, is it a bit,
One of those days.
Hold on, Johnny. I can sum up the most of the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a 1-0 win by Columbus.
There was a game that man, that was a dull game.
The result was the best part.
It was. I love it. Artur doesn't score like for like 3 years, and he has 3 goals this season. That game. I mean, I'm sorry. I love very tight contests, but that was a boring 1-0 game. And listen, it's Columbus. If Columbus got off, I'm gonna say Columbus got off kind of easy in all of this because you didn't have to travel. You face Red Bull, you face Nashville, and you face New England. You didn't have to travel. If Toronto doesn't get upset or Union don't get upset, they have to travel for at least either the semifinal or the final. I mean, you had the perfect setup with that team. I mean, you weren't going to lose to New England. It just didn't seem that way. But man, that game was, and I had that on because I did not want to watch what I knew was going to be an ugly Sunday for football. So I was like, I don't want to torture myself and watch what I knew was going to be a tough Eagles game against the Packers.
Oh God.
So I'm like, at the very least, I'll watch the Eastern Conference Final. And I'm sitting there going, okay, this game's getting entertaining, right? And they scored. I'm like, here the floodgates are going to open. Nope, that it was just a little crack, and you put some Flex Seal, and bam, you stop that leak, and it was like, that's it. Like, sure, that was a game.
That was a game.
Yay,
That was a game.
Columbus.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, Tim knows what very well as well. I had them as my dark horse to win it all, which could very well likely happen. Maybe not. We'll talk about that in a second. But I'm happy that Columbus won, man. We all know that obviously I'm still a little bitter about the New England beating us in the first round there, but good for Columbus getting it done. Caleb Porter, proven that again he is a quality manager. He put some respect on that name for getting these guys back in the situation here. But yeah, so the Western Conference Finals here. I will throw this to Tim here. This was an entertaining game, man. What
Yeah.
what happened to Minnesota?
I mean, it was a hell of a game for Minnesota early on. They won the
I
game
really
for
thought they were gonna do it, man.
they won the game for 75 minutes, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, they did the thing! They did the thing, guys! They did the thing!" And then I was like, "But hold on, everybody! Everyone that's going off on Twitter, this is Seattle Sounders."
Tim,
This
I
is
went
Seattle
to
Sounders.
bed. I went to bed thinking this game was over. I'm like,
You
all
are
right, we got
incorrect.
Columbus, Minnesota. It's gonna be a great final.
This is Seattle Sounders in the playoffs in the last 5 years. And if you give them just a little spark, they're going to just destroy you. And that's what happened. They got that first goal in the 75th minute. It was kind of like a scramble in the box, and then Will Bruin put the goal in. And then they get a second goal right before extra time in the second half.
Rui Diaz with
He got it off a corner. It was, perfect, like to the back post, kind of flicked on. He gets the goal, and then the winner off
Gustav
90
Svensson.
plus 3 minutes, fourth minute of stoppage time added on, and Svensson heads home the winner because it's Seattle in MLS playoffs in the last 5 years. It's their fourth MLS Cup in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like how Brian Smetzer isn't locked up with a contract. I mean, even if you think it's just the players, like the guy's a pretty damn good coach. And
I mean,
deal with those personalities too, man.
All of their coaches are ridiculously good, and there's reasons why now, out of nowhere after this game, the one assistant for Seattle, I'm spacing the name, but he's kind of emerged as a top candidate for DC to come and maybe run DC that way, like Seattle. So it's crazy. They're a great organization.
Just don't take Noonan, you can have him.
They're just a really good team. They're creating a dynasty in MLS, similar to what we used to see from DC United, from LA Galaxy back in the day. And yeah, it's you don't usually see this very often in sports. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, now in the final, Seattle has to go to Columbus. And Columbus like to, make things difficult for their opponents, especially in their home stadium. So we'll see if Seattle can really dictate the game the way that they like to, or if they're given a chance to late in the game, is how Seattle has kind of done it, at least right now. So yeah, it was a crazy Western Conference final, and it sets up a fun final here for the weekend.
It was also too. I know ESPN was hyping this up. The battle of the 210s from Boca Juniors, Reynoso and Lodeiro. That was that was a great storyline to follow. But no, this was an entertaining game, and really, you give kudos to Seattle. Like I feel like that is one sports town that I can accept them having some sort of a dynasty.
Well, yeah, because soccer started there, right? That's
well, depending who you ask in Cascadia, right? But no, these guys have the model to build a championship caliber team. It's clear. You got guys who they develop guys through their youth academy. Their youth academy has always been one of the best as well. And then they go out and sign guys like Lodeiro, guys like Rui Diaz, and it's like a combination of both those things. And it's worked, and it's really worked. Like you've seen obviously Atlanta's tried to do that, and it really, I think they're going to part two now, right? We're trying that here in Philly. We've seen some success, but this is the model. There has to be a culture of development going on. And there's got to be some hunger in there as well. Like I think about guys like Lodeiro and Raul Diaz. These are guys who are really talented, but get written off. And like no one knew who those guys were until coming to the MLS. Yeah. And I love that culture that's going on. And I think that the Union are almost there. I feel like if the Union can find those Loderos and those Rui Diaz's out in the world, that would make us into another.
And I think it's very clear I think the underrated aspect of what you said, and it links it all, is Gareth Lagerwey, their GM.
It's
He
fantastic.
was instrumental in helping bring RSL their title, and he goes to Seattle and helps quickly institute a dynasty.
Yeah.
If you have a GM like that, and the Union are starting to get that with Ernst, it is very clear a solid GM slash director, technical director of football operations is very clear. You can have a decent coach, you can have ownership that splash money, but if you don't have a quality technical director, you're not going anywhere. Because I mean, Lagerwey is finding these Laderos, the Rui Diaz's, the Kelvin Leardams, the Kim Kehees, the Arriagas, the Shane O'Neills. Well, like, you look at the laundry list of players that they've brought in, and Gareth Lagerwey put his name on the. And yeah, Smetzer's a great man manager, and I think that's an effective coach if it's someone you can be a good man manager. But if you don't
Absolutely.
have a good technical director, it's at this point, it's. I mean, look at LA. You don't
Yeah.
have
Oh my
remnants of
God.
anything.
They're dying over there.
It's gonna be all over the place. You can sign the Chicharitos and the Zlatans of the world. If you don't have a good technical director who's going to help fill in the other aspects of your roster, it doesn't really matter at that point.
And to the point of the GMs, like, in the MLS before, like, I guess you could say 2018, 2019, the MLS was mostly running the league like the other American franchise or the leagues, right? And now that the MLS, you're seeing youth academies become an instrumental part of growth in these clubs. I hope that soon, we're seeing some of Europe seeing these coaches here in the MLS, and maybe they can poach them away. But hopefully one day we can get to the point where, other clubs around the world start seeing these athletic directors in the MLS and can poach them as well. And we could see hopefully Ernst Tanner back in Germany, and the same thing with Gareth as well. Well, I mean, Gareth is a little older, but whoever is the next Gareth and the next Ernst and such, hopefully those guys can be the pipeline, and we can see them, doing their jobs in other big leagues. So this is definitely great for the league here, guys. So let's look at the finals here, guys. I want to get your thoughts on the finals here. So we got Seattle facing off against Columbus here. This is going to be another fun, great finals. I feel like these finals every year, they have great matchups and great storylines. The last time Columbus was in the MLS Cup Finals, they went up against another Cascadia club. Unfortunately, that time did not go their way. But this time, I mean, the main storyline here is the potential of no Nagby and no Santos.
Yeah.
That could really hurt their potential. But Justin, let me hear what you think here, man. What do you see happening in this match, and who do you think is going to walk away with the MLS Cup trophy?
Yeah, so I think Columbus is already a disadvantage because the Nagby and the Santos were literally announced within the last few hours, and those were confirmed that those guys are not going to be available for the game. So that's already a massive loss. I mean, Nagby was out for a month or so earlier in the season, and you saw how it affected them. Pedro Santos is a good player. I think his impact is not as prevalent as Nagby's, but I think it's still going to be a massive loss. I think you're going to have a real emphasis on Zelarayan to try to impact the game. He's going to have to try to do a lot more than he did against New England. And when you have, I mean, you look at Seattle, their defense isn't perfect, but it does the job. It's a kind of a bend don't break defense. And you look at that offense, and you look at Rui Diaz, you look at Morris, you look at Ladero, and you just go, like, like, what the hell? Like, no team should have that many great weapons on one offense, and that's not even if you bring up Will Bruin off the bench. I mean, you have guys that you can bring in off the bench, and it's like, okay, like, and why, like, if Columbus had Nagby, I definitely think this would have been a tighter, you know, game to call in terms of who would win. But without Nagby, I think Seattle wins this. It's going to be a tight game. I'm feeling 2-1. I feel like that scoreline might be more flattering to Columbus. I think they maybe get a late consolation goal. But I think Seattle. We talk about we've written off Seattle at this point almost every year going into the playoffs in the last like 5 years, because they always seem to falter right before the playoffs start. But once the playoffs start, they flip the switch and they are a insanely different team. And I honestly don't know what it is. Like, you could say Smester's a good coach. You could say the players just kind of wake up. Like, whatever it is, they get serious around the playoffs. And at this point, like, I'm having a tough time, especially the way they clawed that back against Minnesota. I'm having a tough time picking against Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they are definitely on their way to dynasty mode. Tim, what do you think, man? It's got a great finals. What do you see the final being in this finals?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Justin, and you were, kind of talking about you're not really sure what it is, but they flip that switch in the playoff time, and honestly, they ramp it up every year. I know sort of near the end of every season they might like fall at like the last game or something like that, but they ramp up to this, and it's a culture. It's a culture of winning, and they know the way to win these types of games, and they don't count themselves out. A lot of other teams being down 2-0 in a conference final, a conference final with 15 minutes left, they would probably be like, no, we can try, but I don't think we can do this. There's that little bit of self-doubt that kind of creeps in. Seattle doesn't have that, especially in the playoffs, especially in a final. They kind of are probably a little mad at themselves that they have to travel all the way to Columbus for this game. And I think that they're just going to come out and they're going to win. They're going to win 2-0, I think. I think Columbus makes the game hard for them at times, but Seattle just has too much. They have that winning culture, and they're going to get their third MLS Cup in 5 years. That's crazy. I think it's going to happen on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I know we had the LA Galaxy and DC United, but I really don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. The way that this team is built and the way that they have been at a standard of excellence within the MLS. I agree with both of you guys. I just don't see how Columbus can get this job done without Darlington Nagbe. Darlington Nagbe is one of the reasons why they got him was to get to this position here, right? Yeah. Darlington Nagbe's got that pedigree, and he's just an absolutely outstanding midfielder that we have in this league here. Zellaround is super talented, but to think that he can, carry the load for Columbus, like that's a lot to ask for. This is a very disciplined Seattle team. Like you guys said, they turn it up in these situations. And that's why I got Seattle winning again. Despite what my people on TikTok think, they're thinking that I hate Seattle. I have no hate for Seattle. I got all love for Seattle. But yeah, I got Seattle winning this, and they win yet again another trophy, guys. I really think that is what's going to happen, man. But hopefully it's a fun finals. Guys, make sure to watch. I know our union are not in it, but definitely, I always try to make an emphasis on making the MLS Cup an event because you guys know my goal. My goal is to make not only Philly, but the United States a 5-sport country. We can support a 5th sport, guys. We definitely can, especially our MLS. And this is our Super Bowl. Obviously, please don't do big gatherings like if it was a Super Bowl party.
Yeah,
don't do virtually.
Virtual watch parties. Let's
I like that.
Here.
Yes,
Chat app, Zoom, whatever you want. Virtually watch the MLS Cup.
Make your wings, or Holkey is advocating jalapeno poppers as the official sport soccer.
I mean, listen, poppers and PBR. That's the whole.
I might have to do that now on Saturday night. But yeah, guys, definitely make an emphasis to watching that. I mean, unless you're a big college football head, then I don't know what else you're watching, but definitely check that out.
And if you're
Guys,
interested in watching this match, it is going to be on network TV. It's on Fox.
Yeah.
Big Fox.
Is it on Fox? I thought
Not sports.
It is on regular Fox. That is where it is.
That's crazy.
It says it starts at 8:30 at night, but it's on Fox, so that means it starts at 9. Don't get it twisted. But if you want to see some of that pregame,
Tim.
If you want to see some of that pregame, turn it on at 8:30. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely make sure to watch, guys. All right, guys. Any last words for our listeners today before we sign off here?
No. The only thing I could think is if y'all in Union space are doing anything tomorrow, Union happy hour like it is every Friday.
Yes,
7:30 it starts. Hit up the happy hour Union camp at Union at our Union. Jared will send you the link. We go pretty late. It can get pretty wild. The conversations can get really weird, but that's the fun too, man. That's the real fun of it. So if you aren't doing anything, y'all have a bunch of booze lying around, come join Drunken Union Zoom.
Absolutely. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the Union fans. We put out on our Twitter account at DOOP By The River Pod. The question was, how do you tell people you're a Union fan without saying you're a Union fan? And we got some absolutely fantastic responses. We got a lot of Union fans answering that. So I really wanted to thank you guys for answering that. With the off season, it's tough for us podcasters to try to find a way to keep the fans engaged, keep the fans entertained, and we're definitely going to do our best this off season. But I really appreciate you guys participating, and thanks for the great answers. There's some fantastic answers. They outdid myself. I think the popular one was I believe a couple of years ago. I think they used to give out bimbo products down at the stadium. Is that when?
Yeah, the bread.
I want my free bread. Where's my free bread?
That was before my time.
You used to get a loaf of Arnold's the English muffins.
That was a popular answer too.
You know what was a few that I saw that brought back some memories for me was I want my free haircut when they score 3 goals. That was a thing for Super Cup, man.
I don't know. I think I had a pretty good one. Do we have to face Bruce again?
Oh yeah, that was great.
That got a bit of traction.
Recent. That's too recent. There's
that was what I was saying. That's great.
It's great.
Especially someone like me who's a little younger and became like addicted to the Union later on in life. It's great to hear like the early day stories, and especially like the OG SOB people, and obviously you guys know as well from being down there for so long. But it was great hearing like those OG type of things, like what Tim said with the haircuts and the blueberry muffins and all the bread products from Bimbo.
Or if you want to go real OG, you go. Where's my Venom energy drink after the game? And that's a shout out to the Union first ever home game against DC after the game. If you want to go, I should have gone real OG with that one.
Damn, I wish I was around those days. I wish.
That was some wild days. That's MLS like 1.5 with Jeff Shea playing as a striker for FC Dallas. Man, before his Stoke days, it was some wild MLS days.
Someone put Seba and Danny Mwanga are going to be the best striker combination in MLS history.
Oh my God, honestly, back then we were like Danny Mwanga he played well early on. You're like, oh my God, he's gonna be great. He was shipped out and like never heard from again. You're like, man, remember when we thought that was gonna be it?
That was the thing.
Or Danny Mwanga.
That and why isn't Roger Torres playing? That's the
John or die.
Quietly left town. Roger quietly left town.
I know, man. I mean, I wish. I know he's older, but I definitely wouldn't mind seeing him.
He's only
back.
What is he, like early 30s now? I think he was young when he played here. So
he was really young. Good stuff, guys. Absolutely good stuff. So thanks again, guys, for that. Again, we will try to make sure to keep it fresh on the Twitter account. I know a lot of you guys are on Twitter, so we will definitely do our best. And we will have episodes every week. We'll definitely do our best. Next week, we will dive into some more all-season stuff to get you guys up to date. But again, guys, thank you again for listening. Don't forget, we are on PSN Radio. And if you want to watch this, the video portion of this, it'll be on El Parcero Philly's YouTube channel. So you guys can check that out. We have Justin Freiburg over there. Next up, we got Tim Lominguth. I am El Parcero Philly, and we are telling you guys to DOOP on. We'll talk to you soon. Awesome.